What's going on, y'all? It's your boy D-Motion. You're back with another video on the channel, and today we got a talk about Madden 21 EA Access and what to do with your 10 hours. A lot of people are wondering this question because it's something that's really tricky. You know, there's a lot to do in the 10 hours. There's new modes like the yard, and people want to play some play now and pop into some like regular MUT games. But overall, I'm going to tell you the couple of things that you should be really investing your time into for these 10 hours. And I think the first thing that you got to get into is grinding the solos. Now, like, I understand a lot of people are going to put money into the game. Now, if you're one of those guys who could drop $100, $200 on the game right away, I mean, this won't really apply to you because team could just be stacked right off the bat. But for regular people like me, I'm just going to be grinding solos like the Gauntlet solos, where this year I think we got a Marshawn Lattimore. I can't really remember the other player, but we got two solid elite cards that lasted us a good month and a half. Marshawn was a pretty solid corner. He had a really good speed rating, and then once you powered him up, he had a pretty decent zone for that point in the game. Also, we had the Theme Builder solos, so basically, once you got the Theme Builder token from leveling up in your MUT level, you put it into the set, and then you apply that token to the set, and once you do that, you unlock the solo. So if you get the token for the Raiders Theme Builders, then you unlock their solo set, which this year was LaMarcus Joyner, who was a pretty solid card in himself. So, like, really, you could have a full team of theme builder cards with all 86 overalls, but nobody's that crazy because it was 16 games and all full length. I think it escalated in time per game, so I think it went from 3 minutes and then it ended up at 5 minutes in the very last game, which overall, a lot of people think solos are really brain dead and really boring, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to improve your team right off the rip. Another thing people should look into doing is investing in cards. Now, investing is kind of difficult and it's hard to predict the market, but there's some like solid rules that you can follow from the last couple of years of EA Access. For example, high profile names and high elites will be kind of cheap compared to what they will be on day one. So if I was somebody and I wanted to go get a Khalil Mack, it'd probably be better for me to go get him on the 10-hour EA Access time than me buying him day one, because this price will skyrocket a cool 80, 100K possibly, sometimes even more. And guys like Odell, like, that aren't going to be super duper high rated, probably like 85, 86, but will still have that name factor that'll boost their price because people are going to want to use them. So that's another thing you can do to make coins. Now, of course, not everybody's going to be able to just invest in every single card they want to. For example, kickers are a really good investment, high overall kickers. Their price takes a pretty good steep increase. Another thing is, if you're going to use your coins, use them wisely. Don't just go buy cards just to go buy them. So me personally, last year, I was kind of afraid of investing because it's like a really big commitment. And obviously, if it doesn't pay off, then, you know, you're kind of stuck in a hole. But if you invest in the right cards, you should be fine. But for me, I don't think I spent a single coin on any card besides like a receiver, a running back, and maybe even a quarterback just to get me past the whole entire solo set, but not very high rated, like cards that went for like 2-3K, just so I could flip them back and maybe I'll lose like 1,200 coins, like something small like that. But just get yourself cards. If you're gonna go out and buy cards, get yourself cards that will just be temporary and that you know you won't need, and cards that will not hurt your pockets. Because last year, solos didn't give you a whole lot of coins. Even Journey was kind of underwhelming. Michael Thomas, not the best card. You know, kind of a slow. Like, he was a cool big body receiver. Personally, I didn't even knock out Journey this year. It was kind of felt like a waste of time. They got 80K. Like, for the amount of solos you were doing and only making 80K and getting a subpar receiver, it wasn't really worth it to me. Now, of course, it kind of ended up being worth it because he had good run block. And, of course, we all know Madden 20 meta was just run the ball, stretch, dive, like all that stuff. So, I mean, for some people it probably worked out, but I was not one of those people that really felt like investing their time into getting just a run blocking receiver. Now, another small thing to take into mind with EA Access is don't be idle. If you're not on the game, close that, because you will lose your time. And if you lose your time, that's just time you could have been spending on the game, grinding, figuring out schemes, and just doing things of that nature, because we all know those 10 hours go by fast. 10 hours, it seems like a lot, but once you start playing, it just starts ticking and ticking. 1 minute is 3 p.m., next minute is 10 p.m. You're just like, where did those 7 hours go? Because you're so locked into the game and getting everything done, and you feel like you really don't have enough time. Now, of course, this won't hurt as some people that get the MVP edition, because the game only comes out about 3 or 4 days after the release of EA Access, so they won't feel that as much. But if you're a guy that's only getting the regular edition, make sure to use those 10 hours as wise as possible. It's very crucial. Now, the final thing that I really want to focus on is if you're not grinding, practice your scheme. Now, I'm not saying go into head-to-head MUT seasons with a 62 overall base starter team and try to figure out a scheme. No, what I'm saying is, if you're not a big play now guy, go hop into play now and figure out a scheme or do something like that. Because maybe you'll get matched up against somebody that is really good already at the game, and you could be like, oh, I like the way they played, or I like their scheme, so I'll tic-tac this off of it, and I'll take that, and just you'll learn the game in the meta. Now, off the beta that I played, it was really pass heavy. Like, you really didn't have to run the ball at all. There was no reason to run the ball. But, of course, it's not going to be as easy as just passing the ball every time, even though it seemed like that in the beta. But you have to figure out things that work and can get you big amounts of yards. Now, everybody knows Madden's a game of who can abuse the CPU the most. And with users being as slow as they're going to be this year, you're going to really have to figure out ways to take advantage of it, because your field's going to be way more open. And with the way the pass rush is, now if somebody's pass rushing manually with the new pass rush controls, maybe you won't have enough time in the pocket, but for the most part, you should be able to get your passes off. But you still have to have a solid scheme to build around and know what you like going through, because at the end of the day, if somebody gets you out of your comfort zone, you have to be able to go from here's tier 1 in my scheme, okay, now here's tier 2. Now if he stops tier 2, now I can hop in tier 3. You have to have a few formations and a few plays in each formation that you know you can rock with. Now, of course, if you're grinding, you're not going to be able to, of course, scheme, because you're going to be spending majority of your time upgrading your team, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can always scheme and figure out your team, but you can't get that time back for grinding because of the fact that the way MUT works, team overalls start gapping and gapping and gapping the further every single day we get from the game. One day, you might be neck and neck with the guy with the top MUT team, but the 2-3 weeks after, he's just completely taken off and you're still stalemated because you didn't take that extra time or you didn't spend that extra money to improve your team. But yeah, man, that's been the whole video. I just want to give you guys a few quick tips on how to use your Madden 21 EA access time, and just to make sure that you guys know what to do and how to use your time. But it's been your boy D Motion. Stay in motion, stay smooth, and I'll talk to y'all later. Yes, sir.